Hey, Xiaomi here. So today I wanted to do a wrap up for February and for March because the last time I did a wrap up was for January, and I also plan on doing a separate wrap up for April just because I don't want this video to be a million years long. So I'm just going to be telling you my overall thoughts and feelings of the books that I read throughout these 2 months. So let's just get right into it. The first book that I picked up in the month of February was If You Knew Her by Emily Elgar. This right now is still at a DNF for me. I stopped at page 176. It's just really slow for me, and for it being a thriller, I think that it's extremely slow, and I'm not an expert on thrillers. The only thriller that I have read was The Woman in the Window, and I really did enjoy that book, but this one I can't seem to be engrossed in it, and I can't seem to connect with any of the characters, and there are situations where I could care less about the things that are happening, and I'm just not invested. And I wanted to continue to read it because there's a part of me that wants to DNF it, but there's also a part of me that doesn't want to DNF it and give it a second chance. Recently I just read like 10 pages and I was rolling my eyes, so if I pick it up a third time and I continue, to struggle with it, I'm just going to really DNF it because I can't. Like, it's really slow for me, and I'm not invested. The other book that I picked up was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I freaking love this book. This is a reread for me. I think this is the third time where I reread this book, and it's just amazing. This is the first book for me where I fell in love with morally gray characters, and I love their backstory and just, getting to know their motives and their wants and their desires was something that I freaking adored so much. The reason why I read this one in paperback was because I wanted to annotate the crap out of it, and I did. I highlighted all of my favorite quotes. So yeah, this was just such an amazing experience to go back into this world. The other book that I decided to pick up was Binti. I thought that this was a really good book. I heard this through audio format. I really did enjoy the characters and the cultural building aspects to it. I just wish there was a little bit more because this is really thin. That's the only critique that I can give it. I just wanted more from it. I do know there are other books set in this world or with the same character, I think, so I really want to pick those up because I really did enjoy it, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I think that there was a moment that's really confusing for me, and it's like when she leaves to this institute and they're this alien race. I just got a little bit confused with certain things, but it was a pretty good story, and I can't criticize it for anything else because I really did love everything that was happening. I decided to pick up Saga Volume 1. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I really did love the things that are happening in this book, even though some things were unexpected because I went into this without knowing a lot of information. I just wanted to read these books because they were really well known on BookTube, and I was surprised with a couple of things that were in the story. But I do love the fact that the girl is giving a narration of some things that are happening because we know that in the end something really big is gonna go down. So I do love the world, and how is it that these two races are basically, having a fight and the war between them and the injustice between them. So it's something that I think that's really cool that's being brought into this world, and I also like the artwork and whatnot. The other book that I decided to pick up, and is one that I fangirled over like you have no idea, and that is Blood Witch by Susan Dennard. This is 5 out of 5 glorious stars. I love this book so freaking much, and also like the continuous interweaving of the situations and the stories that are happening. I can say that the first act is a bit slow because this is where we're getting to know the characters after 2 weeks after what transpired in Windwitch. So we're getting to know what is it that they're doing, where is it that they're at. But after that, it just picked up pace, and it was a page turner, and I was just mesmerized, and I was just fangirling. And there were moments that with Adwin that I was a bit disappointed in him, I'm not gonna deny it, but then his character arc is just so beautiful because obviously the book is his title because he is a blood witch, and Adwin gets such a lovely arc that I'm just like, he did disappoint me. He made me go through a lot of emotions, so there was a roller coaster of emotions with him, but like his revelation in the end, and what is it that he chooses and what is it that he wants, I was just like, boy, yeah boy. But it was just amazing, and how we got more information from Sight Witch, because you need to read Sight Witch in order to read Blood Witch. And I know you're not supposed to read a novella in order to get the full aspect of a story, but it is a must because Susan Dennard is such an amazing author where she interweaves everything with one aspect and another, and one thing that's introduced in Sight Witch is just giving further development here in Blood Witch, and I'm just like, there's something that I'm just still questioning, but overall this was just such an amazing experience to go through, and I want the next installment like ASAP. I can't wait 2 more years, but this was just such an amazing experience, and I read through it like so quickly. Like, I love all these characters. I did think that there was a character that did regress with the situations that we had in Winwich, but overall I think that in the end she became a better person and she became a stronger person. But I just want her to give in, because there's gonna be a beautiful female on female romance in this book. I'm just saying. I also did love like Isolde's stubbornness with a certain character, and how is it that eventually these characters are trying to get to one another, because there's a lot of crap that's going on that's actually, you know, taken away from them actually like joining. But like the battles, the fights, the protection, the everything is just amazing. And I'm going to reread this book because I have a lot of theories, I have a lot of questions, and I want to do a book, not a book, I want to do a video that's specifically spoiler for this. I just want to do a spoilery video just for this, because this deserves it, and all my thoughts about it. I can sit here and fangirl about this book for a gazillion years, so I'm just gonna put it down and we're gonna continue with another one, because if not, I'll never finish with that one. Then I decided to pick up Beast Made of Night by Tochi Onyebuchi. I gave this 2 out of 5 stars. I was really disappointed with this book. I thought that the aspect of the world that he was creating was really incredible, and I liked the aspects of sin eaters and how is it that it's created in this world, but I thought that the execution fell flat for me. Like, there were moments that I was constantly rolling my eyes. There were things, especially with the injustice, and this has to do more with personal preference than anything else. I just did not like the injustice for the Akai and how it was that it was never explained, because these Akai in another place were so revered, and yet here in the place that they're living, because I can't even remember the name right now, they were just so inferior, and I wanted to know why was it that they were treated so inferior, and in other places they were just treated like gods. So that's something that I wanted to know more information of. Also, like, there was a love that I didn't care about. There were moments that I just was rolling my eyes. There were things that were really, really boring, and I would have loved to other aspects to be expanded upon. But like, I don't get why wasn't it done. I also would have loved a glossary for this book, because there are words that I did not know how to pronounce, and I want to be true to the culture that, you know, this author is trying to represent, and also how is it that he wants for people to pronounce them, and also what the heck are they, because I looked on Google and I couldn't find a definition for it, because I thought he was drawing from his culture, and I just didn't find some of these words. One or twice I did find the words, but overall there were a lot of words that I was just, you know, trying to decipher what was it that he was trying to say. And I think that's something that you shouldn't let your audience guess. I think that's something that you should give, especially with your world building being so distinctive. But that's why this was such a huge disappointment, and I wanted to love this. Like, you have no idea how badly I wanted to love it, because I thought that there were a lot of things that were interesting. Just the execution for me felt really, really flat. Then for the month of March, I decided to pick up The Gilded Wolves by Roshani Chokshi. I have a problem pronouncing her name. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. There's a vlog where I speak about this book, but overall there are a lot of things that were really interesting. But like, I don't know, like, there are these characters that some are really interesting, like Tristan. I thought that I wanted to protect him like so much, and Enrique was so beautiful. I don't know if I missed something for Enrique, but I think that his LGBT aspect like kind of was rushed for me, and I didn't feel it. Like, I want to go back and reread certain aspects, because it's like I felt like I missed something. But even Severin didn't feel like a character for me that was really ruthless. He was also called the Madman. I still never got why he was called the Madman. I can say that for me personally, this is for me personally, because I've seen on other reviews that people don't feel the same way. But for me personally, I think that the first act was really good, because we got to know these characters, and also the world building when it had to do with the affinity, and also the mythological aspects that were being woven into the story. I think that the second and the third act fell flat for me, because it felt like everything just melded together. I thought that, you know, their voices just blended together, and I even had to go back to the chapter heading to see who was speaking within that chapter because I was completely lost. I was like, wait, who's speaking? There are also moments that, you know, were for turmoil, and, you know, you probably weren't gonna think that these characters were gonna survive and make it out alive, and yet these situations were really convenient, and they were handled really quickly. And I thought that there were moments that should have been expanded that weren't expanded, and there were moments that should have been cut down and they were expanded. So in that aspect, I was constantly rolling my eyes. I can say that I did ship two characters until one of them put his foot in his mouth and he said something really stupid, and I couldn't with him. I couldn't anymore with him. I also did not like the death of a specific character just to augment another character in his grief or his vengeance. I thought that it was just handled poorly, and I can't root for that. But I don't know, like, there are things that were really interesting and other things that were really just meh for me, but I am intrigued to see where else is it that the author brings this world to and brings these characters to. So I also think that this really didn't feel like historical for me. It felt more like a futuristic Victorian-esque world, just because of the affinity. It made it seem that way, you know. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I can say on the Gilded Wolves, but a lot of those things are spoilery, so I'm not going to mention them. But am I going to continue with the other books in this series? I am, just because I want to see, again, like I said, where is it that the author takes these characters and what is it that they eventually do. And especially there's a character that I want to know if something was said from her, is it real, or was it something that her father told her just because he was spiteful and because he was bitter? So those are things that I'm invested and intrigued. Then I decided to pick up RWBY Anthology #1, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars because the short stories were really good. And even though I don't know anything about RWBY because I had not seen the manga or, you know, watched the TV series prior to this, which is something I do want to rectify, but I will eventually. But overall, I thought that the, you know, short stories that were included were really nice, and I got to see these characters and I want to know more about them. So that's why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, even though I was a bit lost with certain things. But it was all because of my fault, because I didn't do the research. But, you know, I'm intrigued to actually continue with that and see where else is it that it develops. Then I decided to pick up Saga Volume 2. This one I gave 3 out of 5 stars because to me this was more of a filler than anything really grand happening within the story. Like, I wasn't invested as I was like in the first one, because kind of enjoyed the first one. The second one was okay, but like I said, I can't grasp on one thing to say that yeah, this was the best thing that happened in the story. So yeah, I am invested to see what else is it that happens, but this one was not one that I enjoyed, you know. Then I decided to pick up Crooked Kingdoms by Leigh Bardugo. This one I heard it through audio format, and obviously I give it 5 out of 5 stars. The one thing that I can nitpick with is that, damn, why wasn't Kaz Brecker's perspective like given earlier within the storyline? That's something that I really wanted, because I wanted to know how was it that he felt. But you know, overall everything that was happening was really interesting, and like there were some moments that were so heartfelt. There were heart-wrenching moments. It was just a roller coaster of emotions for me. I cried, I fangirled, I loved, and oh my god, like I want more books with these characters. Like, let's just say that that's all I want. And it was just such a beautiful thing to go back into these books, because like I said for Six of Crows, it was nice to, you know, visit these characters again. And I keep on loving these characters so much, and I think the character growth is just incredible from certain characters. Then I decided to pick up a book that really surprised me, and I was just shocked by how surprised I was by it, because I went into this book with little to no expectations, because I was like, this book isn't gonna be that good, like blah 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 blah. And I am glad that it proved me wrong, and it's Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. That's how good this book was. Like, the world building aspects of it, it is so insightful. How we have this utopia-esque kind of world that's created, and the government that's, you know, being in charge of all these people, and how is it that, you know, death has been eradicated. I thought that it was just something that was brought to the story that was just so fascinating, and I was just heavily invested in this. I have to admit that the plot twists were jaw-dropping. I was not expecting these plot twists, because I was like, oh my god, what the hell is happening? Like, I had goosebumps because as to how good, you know, this book was. And I also love how it dealt with corruption within the scythedom is how you, I think you pronounce it. It was just an interesting take on how you see these religion aspects who aren't supposed to be corrupted, who aren't supposed to show favoritism, even though they are called out if they see that certain people are gleaming more from one culture than they are from the other. So I thought that that was something that was really interesting, and I really did like how was it that, you know, that was being played into effect. I also have to say that both, what were their names, Rowan and what was it, Citra, oh my god, I have to say that I love these two characters. Like, I was invested in them. I rooted for these characters. They felt like real genuine characters, and getting to know them was really incredible. And also, like, I was also fearing certain things, like them succumbing to things that, you know, like the insanity of certain sides, because, like, let's be real, there's some sides here that, wow, just wow. That's all I have to say for them, because I was just like, what the hell, you know? And also, how is it that people are chosen to be killed? Because, you know, in the scythedom, they have to keep the human population at a certain level, because since they eradicated death, well, obviously people still have to die, you know? They just choose it a different way. But there were some sides that were, wow, the maniacs. Like, let's just be real, they were just maniacs. But I thought that the story was really gripping, and it was just such an incredible story to be told. And there were things that was just unexpected for me. And I have to say that the journal entries made the world a lot more interesting, because we got a lot more aspects, especially from the characters, especially the sides, and also other things that happened that was really interested in. I'm not gonna say because of spoilers, but it was really informative, these aspects, and I just loved all the characters, and I can't wait to continue with this series. I do know there's the second book is out, and I want to get it badly, but I'm invested to see what else is it that happens with some characters, because there were some things that transpired near towards the end that I was just like, oh my god, I can't. But it was just such a good story. Like, I highly recommend for a lot of people to read it, because I went into it with little to no expectations, and I was just blown away with it. It was just incredible. It was incredible. Then I decided to pick up Warrior of the Wild by Tristan Levenseller. I have a video dedicated to this book as to 5 reasons to read it, so I'm going to be linking it down below just in case you're interested in checking it out. But this was just such an incredible story, character development at its greatest, and just Viking inspired story. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars because it was just that good. And I love the characters, I love the world and everything of the gods. It was just incredible how everything played into the story. So yeah, definitely pick this up. You know, it was really good, and I can't recommend it enough. But I highly suggest for you to check out that video, because it's spoiler free, so don't think that I'm gonna give you any spoilers, because I'm not. I did also decide to pick up Unwind by Neil Shusterman in audio format also. I gave that one 3 out of 5 stars just because it's disturbing. It was good. It was freaking good. Like, I'm just gonna say it was really good. But there's a wow, I'm lost for words, because I don't even know what to say. I don't even know if what I'm gonna say is spoilery, so I'm just not gonna say anything. But there were things that really caught me off guard. There were chapters that were really strong, so trigger warnings for a lot of things. I highly suggest for you to, you know, look for trigger warnings before you actually get into that book. But like, you know, the fact that you can unwind your child at a certain level because you're like, oh well, you know, I don't want him anymore, let's just unwind him. It's disturbing, to say the least. You know, it is an interesting and important story to read. That's what I have to say. I also like how we have 3 different characters, and how is it that their story, you know, meshes into one another, and how is it that fate, you know, just brings them together. But it's a fascinating read. That's the word I'm gonna use. But like, wow, it left me, you know, that's how it left me. You know how many times can I say wow? A lot, because that's all it gave me. It was just, it was a strong one. It was a strong one. Then I decided to pick up 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott, also through audio format. I wanted to hear the audio format because I wanted to watch the movie, which had never happened, but I gave that one 2 out of 5 stars. I just wasn't invested as much as I wanted to be invested, and I can't say there's one thing that did attract me through the story. Like, I heard it at 2 times speed, and I was just like, let me get this over with, because I could have cared less about a lot of things, but I did like that I learned from, you know, things that I did not know about, especially a disease that I had no idea about. And I can say that there were some things that were really interesting and important, but overall, like, I really did not connect with any of the characters, and there were some things that I really didn't agree with. And again, this is more having to deal with personal preference. Maybe I might change my perspective on it if I watch the movie, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to watch it to see the difference between one and the other. But, you know, eventually when I get to watching it, then I'll give my overall thoughts. But the book really wasn't that gripping for me. And the final book that I decided to pick up for the month of March was On Earth by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This was such an action-packed, incredible story that I just freaking loved so much. And I can say that the characters are relatable, and even though there is an essence of insta love, that's something that I just was not rooting for, but overall, like, I liked how these characters got together, and also how we have the downfall of Earth, and, you know, trying to fix this situation, and them being in this strange and weird planet and having to bring back what they have to bring back, and also the plot twists and turns that are happening. There were some jaw-dropping moments, I'm not gonna deny it. There were things that I was not expecting, but I also like that we understood these characters' motives. But I have to say, like, that cliffhanger, what, oh my god, that cliffhanger was really strong. And I can't wait to pick up the second book, which is one that I really want to pick up. But overall, this was just such an incredible story to read, and the audio format, I highly suggest for you to read it. I loved both of the characters. It was just such a beautiful story to be told, and how is it that they try, you know, to do the things that they're doing. But, you know, there are also a couple of things that I'm still, like, a bit skeptical on, but overall it was really good, and I enjoyed it so much. I also forgot to get one book, which is all the way up there, but I really don't want to get it, but it came out in my last vlog, and that is I forgot the name of it. How is that beautiful? I don't even have it written here. Oh my god. But anywho, I don't remember that book, but, you know, I'm just going to say it for the month of April. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you the review for that one in April. But these are all the books that I read for the month of both February and March. If you want to tell me what your favorite read, then feel free, and we'll chit chat down below. For me, my favorite read would definitely have to be between both months. Definitely Blood Witch, definitely Warrior the Wild, and of course Scythe. These are just 3 reads that were just perfect for me, and I love them so much. So I want to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace.